me. It's another episode of Talking Bollocks. Hello, welcome. We're back. Yes, I'm back, you're back, we're back. The Bollocks is back. Howard H. Smith is my name. And podcasting is my game. As well as a few other things. I do this. I do the Motorcast, the official Motorhead podcast. I sing in UK thrash band Acid Rain. I perform stand-up comedy as Keith Blatt. I'm also doing spoken word shows. Yeah, they're coming back. So I have actually got a new spoken word show on the books. And the reason this came about is due to an upcoming interview with UK blackened thrash band Chupacabra, no less. So anyway, I am down at the Griffon in Bristol on Friday the 3rd of November. So the Griffon, if you want to find that in Bristol, that's Gryphon. Grab tickets there or hit up my socials and you'll see there's links there. Anywho, while you're at it, sign up to Patreon, patreon.com/Howard H. Smith, $6 a month, lots of stuff. Hey, great, nice to have you back, nice to see you. What have you been doing? What's been happening in your world? What's been happening in my world? But also, what has been happening in the world of heavy metal? Well, Mike Portnoy says Pantera, the reunion is phenomenal, and all the naysayers are eating their words. Now, you see, I kind of disagree with that. I don't remember a load of people saying it'd be shit. I think there's people split into two camps. Those are the ones that don't think it should be happening because the two guys who created the band are dead, and those who do want it to happen. I don't think, nobody was saying it was going to be shit. It's Charlie. Everybody went, well, fucking hell, if you're going to do it, get Charlie Benante and Zakk Wylde. Hello. There you go. So I really don't remember anyone saying there was going to be rubbish. Naysayers, naysayers, I'm sure, will still be, some might have been convinced. Hey, maybe he's right. Maybe some have sat down with a plate of alphabetic spaghetti and, put Sorry Pantera together in pasta form. Who knows? I don't know. But, my guess is the people who thought it shouldn't happen will most likely probably still think that, but hey, whatever. That was pretty pointless, wasn't it? Next up, Sown, the band Soen, Sown. Now, Sown continues fight for equality and human rights on new album Memorial. Well, whilst that is an admirable and lofty goal, personally, concentrate on the songs first off, obviously. I'm being a twat. But the point I'm making is, if you're going to make self-righteous statements like, that you continue to fight for equality and human rights, you're a fucking band. You're a band, yeah. And if you're going to go down that route, then please, go down the Rage Against the Machine route, and actually take time off to engage in activism. But, this sanctimonious, this band are fighting for equality and human rights on new album. You mean you've got some songs about equality and human rights on your new album? That's what you mean. You see, the word, those continues of, continues the fight by, is it writing songs? Is it? Yeah, it is. So, not really continuing a fight, really, is it? I mean, continuing to engage in continued highlighting of the issues. Yeah, fair enough. I'll give you that. All right, fair enough. So anyway, I thought this was great. New Testament drummer Chris Dovas. What a quote. I just want to keep making the band sound good. Do you know? I just love that. It is just such a drummer thing to say. I remember when I was in a band years ago. strange thing in Newcastle, and our drummer got a new snare drum, and we were just joking because he used to really fucking hit him, and we used to have this chats about like what drummers say in drummer magazines, like Neil Peart, Pearl drums, they caress my sticks, they're beautiful. Lars Ulrich, Tama drums, they're perfect for rocking out, man. And then our drummer, I hit it and it makes a bang. and I was reminded of I hit it and it makes a bang when I read, I just want to keep making the band sound good. Yeah, so there you go. These things just fall out of my head and into a mic. Queen classic song Fat Bottom Girls dropped from new version of Greatest Hits collection. And basically people see that headline, mainly people of my age and older and slightly younger, and go, oh, what is the world coming to? Oh, Queen having to take off. Is Fat Bottom Girls fat shaming now? I thought it was a body positive message. Well, oh, I don't understand the world. Everything's woke. Oh. No. Actually, the version that it's being removed from is actually the inverted commas kids version of the album. So basically, it won't be on platforms, or it won't be on a restricted age platform. So there you go. That was the there's the non-story there. That was exciting, wasn't it? And just to take a little bit from the article, the track was taken off the original album. It was taken off a new version of the collection, which was released earlier this month on Yoto, an audio platform aimed at children. There you go. Okay, so no harm, no foul. Next up, former members of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, The Offspring, Smash Mouth launch The Defiant. Now, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, I see, I'm interested. Debut single is called Dead Language. And I thought anyway, I'm going to cut to the chase here. Yeah, the song is a bit basically like, oh, don't we all walk around like zombies on our phones nowadays? And, we use our thumbs a lot, don't we? And like, why bother falling in love, because like there's not an app for that, but there's an app for everything else. And I just found it, just lyrically, just the whole thing, the whole sentiment, I just felt a bit like, right, okay, guys, sorry, can't join you on that one. Next up, watch pro shot footage of Metallica performing Too Far Gone for first time ever. And it struck me. Struck me? Have I invented a fucking word again on this podcast? We've had them before. God, can my brain remember the one I created before? I don't think I can. But no. Okay. So anyway, it struck me that I am absolutely sick to fucking death of the headline, watch pro shot video of insert band here performing insert song here, and insert venue here, reason here that this is news, which invariably it isn't. And it always seems to be Metallica. I mean, I'd be cruel to just sort of load it on Metallica, but I guess I'm just saying it's not fucking news. And if I can find that shit if I want it. Mind you, I suppose I'll go blabbermouth to see if it's available, so I'll shut the fuck up. Next up, see Anthrax singer Joey Belladonna's Journey tribute band perform in Roseville during summer-fall 2023 tour. No thanks. It's all right. I think the first time I saw Joey Belladonna performing a Journey song with his band was probably at least 10 years ago. It wasn't news then. It's not news now. Yes, he sings in a Journey cover band. Fucking get over it. And finally, it is the gift that keeps on giving, otherwise known as Dave Mustaine. Hello, me. It's the real me. So Dave is back now. Dave, the headline is Dave Mustaine says he is moving to Italy. I'm really excited. Now, that's a lovely story, isn't it? That is a lovely story. And this is how he tells this story to the people of Italy, Vicenza, on the 27th of August. I have something very special I need to tell you. A couple of weeks ago, I just bought a house in Italy. So think about that. Pause. Where could this be going? You wake up tomorrow morning and you see me out your window and I'm walking with my boxes and you go, fuck man, that looks like Dave Mustaine. Look at all those guitars. Shit, that's got to be him. Yeah, feet firmly on the ground as always, Dave. I've got to tell you, I'm so excited about being able to call Italy a new place for us to live. And I thank you all for your graciousness and helping teach me how to be a good resident here and learn how to live the Italian life. Step 1, no guns. But it just made me laugh that the way he told the audience that he was moving to Italy was basically, if you look out your window and you see me and my masses of guitars and all the rest of it, and you think, shit, man, is that really me? Yeah, it really is me. I'm moving to your country, you lucky bastards. Your country has just got better. Oh, fair play to you, Dave. Fair play. Hey, by the way, for all you Prong fans out there, I've got the new album, listened to it many times. Tommy's coming up on the podcast, don't you worry, and it's bloody great. Woohoo! So let's move straight on to the interview, because I've known this album was going to be bloody great because I've had the demos for 2 years since the last time Kelly was on. So, wow. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the video file for this got corrupted. So, I mean, it's still on YouTube, but there is no actual video interview to watch. So anyway, that's not gonna really matter because we do have a right old jibber jabber. And honestly, at the end of this, we both just really enjoyed it. It's a really good chat. And there is also, as mentioned in the description, an exclusive, an exclusive about why that European tour was cancelled last year. So it's over to Kelly and I. Or is it me and Kelly? Well, anyway, it's both of us. I am very well, mate. How are you?
Really, really good. I'm excited. I've been waiting two years for this shit to happen.
I know, man. I know. Look, what I remembered was I looked up on in the podcast. Last time you were on was almost exactly 2 years ago. It was the end of July 2 years ago. I feel like I've got to ask how your son is, because 2 years ago he was like, he wasn't very well. How is everything?
Yeah. No. He's great. He's 6 now, and like back then when I was writing the record, I think back when we talked, no, he was well. I don't know. Maybe you might be talking about my daughter. My daughter has autism. I don't know if we got into that or not, but no, Thor's always been healthy and happy. But he's a good little dude. He was my executive producer on the record. He was literally
awesome.
sitting there, on the couch next to me while I was doing vocals.
So yeah, I mean, we talked all about Atheist and stuff last time, and you mentioned Till the Dirt. You sent me the album, which I absolutely love. And now there's a slightly different iteration of it. So
yeah, what I probably sent you before were demos. I think I don't know if we even had a version of the album. Like I had the songs, but there were demos. Those were the demos that I actually did, and on my little studio, and then obviously we got it mixed out at Apollo Audio Limited in Missouri with Ryan Vincent. So so that was the difference between the two. But man, I can't remember. I remember back then I was just really trying to champion the music and trying to find a home for it and trying to get it out there. And so I appreciate you listening all the way back then.
Oh, dude, absolute pleasure. Not as much as I appreciate you sending it. And now the album's on its way out. I've got a copy of it. It sounds great. There's the intricacies and everything in the songs and in the playing that don't quite come through in a demo. You know what I mean?
You know, you can be honest with me, right? So if you don't really like it, you can tell me.
No. I
I have
do.
tough
I
skin,
do.
man.
I think the albums. I think the album's a definite improvement on, on what you sent originally. But like you said, they were demos. But no, absolutely love it. I mean, I loved it as demos. But
Cool.
this is like, this is the next step. This is
So yeah, it's definitely a little more. It's got more heat behind it, and so it cranks pretty good. But again, it's for anybody who's an atheist fan or whatever, just please know this is definitely not an atheist record. This is a completely different child, and
yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you agree that it's overall it's a completely different headspace? I think I mean, there's moments obviously because I wrote a lot of guitar stuff in Atheist, where one who's an atheist sort of longtime fan might like hear something that sounds like a cousin of an atheist riff, But the overall philosophy of this band is completely different than Atheist, and so I'm excited about it because I mean, as you get older, you kind of have to rest on your laurels and the music that you've done in your past career. It's rare that at my age I get an opportunity to come out with something that's very modern and relevant on a level that I didn't expect, because of the way it came about during COVID and everything. So
yeah,
it's
so
fun.
there must be an element of freedom there as well, because obviously that we've talked before about the fact that there's kind of like there's influences that come out in Till the Dirt that you just you're not going to hear that in Atheist, but it's kind of a freedom for you.
Absolutely. And it's something that's always been sort of in my heart in terms of the music that I love. I love old Soundgarden. I love, obviously Alice in Chains and I love Caius and a lot of that stoner rock feel. I love the sound of, Sabbathy kind of music, you know what I mean? And so to combine
Yeah.
that, that element with some catchy sort of melody vocally and go between the screaming and, I wouldn't call it a clean vocal. I mean, I don't know really what to call it. In interviews, I've been trying to figure out, because people say clean vocal and get the wrong idea because, my clean vocal is a guy that smoked cigarettes for 35 years and drank a lot of booze and so
Yeah.
it's not your typical clean vocal.
Oh, it's a rock vocal and it's a metal vocal.
It's a Pepper Keenan clean,
Yeah. And Pepper's Clean's quite dirty, so yeah, that's a good comparison.
That's cool.
Hey, and how'd you find the guys? Because, like you said, you were kind of writing it in lockdown. I mean, because basically, the rhythm section is just phenomenal. Well, everything is. I mean, guitar playing's superb as well, and your vocals obviously kick ass. But the rhythm section kills.
Did you know?
No.
Yeah, it's the first record that I played guitar on since Elements in '93.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that because for one, it kind of watches the rumor that I don't play guitar anymore, which kind of bums me out every time I read that because I played guitar since I was 14 years old. So kind of hurts my heart when I read that, and I'm like, no, I still play. I just don't play live. So I was really excited to be able to achieve that as well. I mean, once I wrote all the music and everything, and I had all the drums and everything in place, and there was a period of time where me and Scott Burns were talking about just releasing it like it was, as demos. The demos sounded really, really good, but obviously it was just me playing. And with the exception of, my guests, I had Yoav, our current Atheist bass player, had played a lot of the bass lines, and obviously Steve DiGiorgio played on Outside the Spiral. But in the beginning, it was just me, playing all the instruments and doing the solos too. So slowly but surely, I brought in, guests and then had Daniel Martinez and Chris Martin lay the guitars that I had already written. And so that way it sounded more like a band, different guys playing. So, but there's actually 3 tracks of guitars on three people playing guitar on the record. And after it was all done, said and done, and we went through some stuff with those other guys, and I got some new guys in Atheist and a drummer, Dylan Marks. So I Jerry Watunsky and Dylan Marks and Ian Way from Surreption I had met him on the Suffocation tour. I just put the band together. I was, thought these guys will play the shit out of this music, and it's because of the way it was created. It's never been performed live yet, so
Right.
I'm excited about the way that's going to sound in a room. Because typically you write music in a room with a bunch of guys. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
rehearse it and then you record it.
Yeah.
Well, this was all made, literally sitting in my little studio. So I can't wait to have those guys, put their stamp on it as well on a live setting. But really, they're all great players, and so yeah, I think if it's well executed, and I know it will be, I think it'll be impressive live. It'll be heavy as shit.
Man, I was going to move on to asking you about playing live because it's a fucking intense record.
Mm.
And it's over quite quickly. So you're going to play. Are you going to play most of that live? Will you chuck in an Atheist song as well, just to pad it
See,
out?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
It's a tough
that's a
one.
funny question. It is because I don't know, man. I mean, if I
Going
really
across
want
the
them to be,
streams.
if I really, it would be easy to do, obviously, because a lot of the guys that are, Yoav is also playing bass, um, and so I mean, I've got all the same guys. I've got the team, you know what I mean, to pull it off and play it well. But it's uh, church and state maybe might be a good idea. I mean, just keep the two bands separate. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. I really want to. I mean, I guess there are songs in the atheist world that I'm hoping really that we get some more sort of modern opportunities to play with, younger bands and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
roll out the legacy phase of,
Yeah.
of some of the stuff that we're offered with atheists. So who knows, man? I mean, to be honest with you, I everybody that asks, "Are you going to tour?" I'm like, that's up to the people. I mean, it's really up to who buys the record and whether it matters. And guys like you, putting me on a YouTube, on a podcast to be able to tell people about it. I need that times 1,000 to let everybody know about it. Then that's how you get the opportunity to go on tour. So it's really not up to me; it's up to you to buy the record.
Yeah,
I hope
listener,
so, man.
I'm
I
doing
want
my
to.
bit. He's done his
Yeah,
bit. So yeah, get on it. Go buy 5 copies.
and it's been a
Uh,
blast, baby. I was happy that that was another great thing since we last
yeah.
talked.
Yeah.
Having them come aboard and sign, Monty Connor is a guy that I've known for forever, and he was responsible for so many great, all the Tampa death metal and Sepultura, the list goes, Slipknot, the list goes on and on. He's
Yeah.
just as I call the Clive Davis of death metal. And man, when it came time to want to put this thing out, um, it was really tough to find a label. I mean, it's everybody's
Yeah.
especially coming out of COVID. Oh my God, so I feel so lucky to, at this point in my career to be able to sign a brand new deal with a brand new band, post COVID, so I kind of, I feel like, everything is kind of aligned in the right way, and plus, from us talking last time that, this record came about, like it wasn't planned or anything. It was just this organic sort of just kind of appeared, during that lockdown period. So all of that added in with Scott Burns and Monty Connor, Nuclear Blast. I mean, I'm a lucky guy, man. It's good. It's gonna be cool. All the right people.
Yeah, it is like the stars have aligned, and the fact that it all came together in COVID, and
Mm.
that like you said, it just kind of happened.
So many have so many bad memories of the whole COVID era. But I mean, and and certainly it was terrifying because I was writing with a sense of, I honestly, mentioning being a longtime smoker, I watched people around me have major issues and go to the hospital with respiratory issues. And I,
Yeah.
in the early days of that, it was pretty terrifying. And I was like, what if this is it? What if I catch COVID? It's over. And so I felt this sense of urgency when I was writing. So I wrote so many songs in a 6-week period. And there's a song in the album called "Watch You Grow Old," which was, a song about me sort of wishing that I could, or hoping that I can watch my 6-year-old son at 54 grow older, get married, have kids. So I was really kind of reaching lyrically into a place I would never reach with Atheist at all. So that was kind of
Yeah.
refreshing as well, to be able to, because it's always hard to, for me anyway, to write about anything that kind of is, I like to
Yeah.
be very vague and allow people to sort of make their own interpretation. But that song was pretty specific, and it means a lot to me. I hope that people will check that song out. It's heavy as fuck. It's really cool.
like the rest of the album, but I think that's kind of like as we were talking about earlier about the difference between the bands, I think you've just kind of summed up the essence of the difference, which is it's actually, yes, musically, but it's quite pronounced lyrically that the difference is there.
Yeah, a lot of and that's also refreshing to, as an artist, to have another outlet, to be able to to put things out that when I'm gone, I really want my kids to be able to go back and read and be like, oh, that's what Dad was going through at that time. And right now, the lyrics that I have from all the atheist stuff, I hope they'll appreciate those as well. But there's nothing really, I don't know that they could tell anything about me from that. This record is more personal, I think, and and it'll be interesting for them to see how they take to it when they're older. And I'm gone.
Yeah, mate, dude, I know what you mean. I mean, I'm 53, and the lyrics on our last album compared to the album that we put out before that, there was a 29-year gap. And it's, as you get older, a younger man, I was writing about what I think, and as an older man, you write about what you feel.
Oh man, you nailed that. That's beautiful. I mean, that is absolutely 100% on the money, and I think that's what's happened inadvertently. That's great.
Yeah,
Well done.
I think it just comes with age, man. There's
a lot of good things about getting older,
Yeah,
a lot of
well,
good things.
when you get to this age, you've sort of gathered so much shit in your head. Some of it's
It's funny to watch younger musicians kind of try that bullying stance of dinosaur fucking metal, old school. It's like, you know what, man, you're gonna see 20 years from now, and you're gonna be in that category, and you're gonna realize that, man, you're gonna feel I still feel musically 16 years old. Like, I love music, I love making music, I love touring, I love all those things. I just appreciate it so much more now, and I go about it differently now as an older artist than I did when I was in my 20s. But it's hard to not be like, listen, young blood, you too will get older, and then all of a sudden you sound like your dad, and they're like, shit, but it happens though, and then I'm 100% coming to terms with age. I think that I'm making the best music that I've ever made right now, and I have a whole probably 3 hours of music just sitting in my hard drive, waiting to figure out what to do with it, but in both Atheist and Till the Dirt. So I feel like it's one of the most prolific periods in my whole career for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to keep writing until it stops, until the well runs dry, because I may have this may be it. I could be writing I may not write anything again for 3 years. That would be impossible. But because it's almost like conversations, like music is to me. As soon as I sit down and start playing guitar, I rarely ever play anything other than what I'm just writing, So being able to record and keep track of all that is something I never had when I was younger. So I think that I'm really into that as well, just being able to log all those ideas and go back to them. And so anyway, the process.
I totally agree, man. I've got like shitloads of lyrics lying around and stuff like that, and that's why I have a real problem with overwriting, as in, like, I've never overwritten. It's like, if the album's 10 songs, we're going with 10 songs, because I don't want to have like 12, 13. I don't want to kill 3 of my children. I don't want to be told I've got to have 10 kids, not 13.
Right. That's a funny thing that fans probably don't know a lot about. Like, the idea of sure, you can do a 16-song record, but you're only getting paid for 10 or 11. But anyway, so I think you brought up an interesting point, that you only write, like I did that for Atheist as well. Like, there was no extra Atheist songs. Like, there's when we needed 8 songs, we wrote 8 songs, and that's always been kind of the formula. And some of those records are very short, but with this band, I don't know. I just think that because there's so many different avenues that I can go in, it just makes me feel like, but I'm also like, really, I finally stopped writing for Till the Dirt because I have enough stuff there. But the last couple of weeks since I got back from the tour, I've been just logging Atheist stuff, and I'm super excited about it, because I know that the guys that are going to be playing it are going to be amazing players, and it's just talk is cheap, but I think it's going to be the best Atheist record ever. It's going to be very, very everything that I and other people love about that band. It's been enough time to where I can almost look at it from a third person aspect. You know what I mean? Almost as a fan of that Kyle. It's 30 plus years ago. So I very much hear it that way. And so I want to make a record with these guys that that pays homage to all that, all the fun shit about Atheist.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, the thing is, well, when you were talking, then I was thinking about how the excitement that you have for Till the Dirt, which is like, obviously it's totally understandable and it's now, but it's also kind of more yours. Like it's like everyone owns Atheist. Do you know what I mean? It's like
you're right. You're right.
Whereas this is yours, man.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it because it really is that way. Like I can do whatever I want to with this band, but I cannot do that with Atheist. I mean, obviously I could, but I would never do that. I would never tarnish the. I see, where people were concerned that I was going to bring the cleaner vocal into Atheist. No, that's not happening.
Yeah. There's no hard rock Atheist album out there.
No, absolutely. If anything, I'm going to, turn up the heat on, like I said, all the cool things about, the technicality and everything, and really have some fun with just going nuts, because there isn't, there's also the aspect of with Atheist where I don't have to, you know what I mean? It's the record. We don't have to prove ourselves anymore. It's a nice feeling to not have to, oh man, we got to show them that we're this or that, there's none of that. It's like the record we make is the statement, there's so many years in between each record. Aside from the first two, that it's music changes a lot, but if you stay the same, if you keep all the great things that people love about, I think it's why Cannibal Corpse has such success. They're not trying to recreate their wheel at all, man. They're just rolling it out thicker and heavier and better performed. And Paul's playing his ass off these days, like on a level that that he hasn't in a long time. And obviously Corpse as a vocalist is so recognizable. It's really hard to be recognizable as a vocalist in extreme metal. As soon as I hear his voice, I know that's him. And I've known him for a really, really long time. So it's just really nice to see guys like that just say, hey, we're going to be the AC/DC of death metal. We're just gonna you're always gonna know what you get, with AC/DC, and you're always gonna get that from Cannibal Corpse, and so I like that. So with Atheist, I think I have some room, to do weird shit, but I would never try to mix the two bands, and let them infiltrate each other.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is as well is that you kind of got the best of both worlds at the moment, because you can you can get that side of your influences and what you want to do out with Till the Dirt, but Atheist is still, and also you've got the excitement of it being a new band, but there's also a lot of unknowns come with that, whereas Atheist there's a lot of knowns come with it.
A wife and a mistress.
Yeah, well, you nailed that. Yeah.
Musically.
Oh yeah, clearly musically, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But, I mean, could you ever imagine a time where, geez, I was just thinking actually, you were saying like everyone's going to get you out there, you got to buy copies, get you on the road. Alternatively, the new Atheist album comes out and you all do double duty and Till the Dirt supports Atheist, and at the end of that tour, you're all dead.
Yeah. Oh my God, I would be exhausted. I think the young guys play with me, man. They would love that. They would kill that, but I would be dead by the end of that. I mean, 16 Atheists. The tour we just did was man, we did 18 shows in a row. Wow. 90-minute set, which is the longest set we've ever done. And
hang on, you were doing 90 minutes of singing for 18 nights in a row.
18 in a row, yeah. And
dude, 31. You have my absolute fucking respect.
That is old guy, right?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was quite a run, man. I mean, and it honestly, it was nice to have the day off, but it was we could have done some more. So I was surprised that I held up. It actually got stronger as I went on. I was, it took me probably a week to get sort of ragged out and then healed, and then have that sort of scar tissue. So, because I really hit the ground running. I don't sit around and scream around the house and scream in a live setting ever. So to jump on the road, there's 3 days of rehearsal. That usually acts as the abrasive part, and then a couple days in between the tour starting, then you start to get that scar tissue, and then by the end of the first 5-6 shows, you kind of just roll in, and as long as you don't catch a cold or anything, you're good. So I stayed healthy on the whole thing, and yeah, it was so much fun though. I mean, it was the most fun I've had on a tour in a while. Just I felt a level of confidence in the music, the way those guys were playing, man. The element stuff, and they were just killing it, and it was kind of fun to see, man. It's like going on vacation to a place that you've been a million times, but now you get to bring some friends. You know what I mean? Like to bring them
that's
out.
That's awesome, man.
And also, put them on a tour bus and and see things that they haven't seen. And I mean, our one guitar player is 25 years old, Jerry Watunsky. He's 25, man. And so just it's fun just to watch him like just blossom as a performer and walk out in front of people and kill it and play his ass off. And so there was a kind of a sentimental sort of I don't know the word I'm looking for. There's like a dad aspect to it. It's like, look at him. Look at the guys, you know what I mean? I was really so proud of them. It's not easy music to play. And it's also not easy to go and be in a band that's not yours, so to speak. You know what I mean? Where you're playing music that's older than you are, but to play it with vigor and anger and precision on a level is really, really fun to watch. So I enjoyed, every single moment of it. So, 18 shows was easy because I got along really, really well. And we were playing with Cynic as well. So it was nice living on the bus with Cynic for a month because it was very peaceful and easy living. And, because sometimes you get out, like, I love my Suffo Boys, man, but they party their ass off. And so we end up partying our ass off and, drinking a lot more than we should drink. They're hard to hang with, man. I love those guys so much. They are super fun to tour with, but not good for my health, man. So the Cynic thing, we just kind of, but he smoked a lot of weed as opposed to just banging out a bunch of Jack Daniels and stuff. So
just chill the fuck out. And look, when you were saying about what you were saying about singing, I'm exactly the same. Although I always get anxious, it takes a few days, like you say, for your voice to bed in. Yeah. And it's like, because it's not your everyday voice. You just kind of get like yourself. I've got, a bit of a husky voice, and it just gets that bit huskier. And it's like, right, okay. There's a period where you stop sounding like yourself when you speak.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't,
do you know what I mean? And then you adjust to that and go, oh no, it's tour voice.
Yeah, actually, it is absolutely tour voice. And my speaking voice, I can't yell at somebody. Like I can't talk to somebody from across the room. Like my speaking voice gets really quieter. And then when it's time to sing, and I don't even do my sound check. Like Yoav, our bass player, does my sound check because I literally just want to go out there when it's time to fucking go. Because how many sound checks have you done in your life where you go and you spend all this time, check, two, check, you do all your stuff and then you go back to the green room and you come on stage and where the fuck? Where's my monitors that I had that we spent 40 minutes like working on, So I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to come when the party starts. And so I literally walk out on stage pretty cold every night. I never, I may walk through the club a couple times, but until it's time for us to play, then afterwards I love to hang out in the club and everything. But before we go on, I feel a different performance anxiety than I used to when I was younger. And it's not a bad anxiety. It's just like getting in a fight though. It's like I don't need to see the dude until it's time to fight, and then we're gonna fight because that'll be if I see him ahead of time or I watch him warm up or whatever, then I'm gonna, it's gonna get in my head. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but I don't know how you feel. I have a couple of drinks before I go on, just because it really, it literally is like, all right, I have to fight these people. I have to make them clap. I have to make them enjoy the fact that they spent $25 or $30 to come see us in this music that we created, and that matters to me so much that I want to make sure that we fight in a good way. And by the end of the show, we're all fighting together. And that's a man. You can have millions of dollars, but there's no feeling in the world like killing a room full of 500 or 600 metalheads. Like you literally can't buy that. And I love that shit. It's really cool.
It's a massive adrenaline kick, and my guess is that like that what you're experiencing, like what you called performance anxiety as an older guy, Similarly, what I found is it's adrenaline. It's like
Yeah,
my adrenaline kicks, and hence, no, I can't go out there. I am going to have to sit back, because if I go out there, my adrenaline will kick in, and
right.
if it kicks in while I'm out there, I'm going to run out at some point tonight. You know?
Well, I also feel like if I did a sound check, it wouldn't be on the level that I'm going to be at when I come out, with the adrenaline and the level of anxiety and angst of getting ready to perform and getting ready to literally jump on the mic. So it wouldn't matter anyway if I did the
Yeah,
sound check. I'm still not. I have to. It's almost a character.
yeah,
The vocal. And I'm sure you probably feel the same way. I mean, we don't. It's not what we do 23 hours out of the day. But
yeah.
when you go up there, it's like, it becomes this different thing. God, I love it so much, though. But I wish I could turn it on and off. Like, I know a lot of people that can, like just bust into, in the middle of a restaurant, just, it's this huge like death metal vibe. I'm just not that guy. I really have to get into character.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I pace a lot. I mean, I'm like a caged tiger, and I just want to get out there. It's like no matter who the support band is, they could be my best friends and they're great. I just want them to fucking get off.
That's funny because I remember being a brand new band and being in the opening for Testament, opening for all these different bands, and when we were Atheist, and oh man, we really wanted them to come and watch us play, and I used to think, man, what an asshole! I can't believe they didn't watch us play. Like if I was me, I would definitely. I had no idea what I was talking about. I mean, when you're on tour, it's like there's just, I mean, you can't hang out in the club every night and watch all the opening bands. You just can't do that. And you
Yeah,
don't want to, and they wouldn't either. When you get into a different position, um, I understand now why those guys never came to see it. It's like they're talking to their wives or watching television on the bus, or just living their lives normal until it was time to sort of go to work and go and play and get into that headspace. I'm always like pre 6 o'clock. I'm on tour. I'm just like a regular. I'm just watching TV. I'm hanging out. I might go get some food, really, really quiet. And then 6 o'clock is like, okay, now it's starting to get dark. So, and then I just turn into a completely different person until, 3 in the morning.
there is
So
that.
the
There is that.
duality.
There is that. It starts getting dark and everything starts getting real. The venue that
Yeah.
you've been walking around all day in now looks different, because it was full of light earlier, and now it's a different kind of place. And
Yeah, I like it.
yeah, there's music coming through the
What was the
PA,
last
and
tour you did?
April.
Mhm.
It's just a short run of dates in the UK, but it's what I was going to ask you actually is when can you eat? Because I've now figured out I need to leave like 4 hours. If I eat, I can eat, but it's got to be 4 hours before I'm due to go on
Yep, I'm
stage.
with you on that. I cannot eat, and it really like 3.5, 4 hours, especially not heavy either. I went and had
Yeah.
poutine before a Canadian show with a friend, and I was like, that was a horrible idea. And so I just barely kind of got through that. And I don't know, it's yeah, you definitely don't want to have a full stomach. But afterwards, man, I'm
Dude,
starving now.
In Scotland, I had 5 cheese macaroni. What
Oh
a
my God.
fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's a that's a
Two,
recipe for disaster.
yeah, 2 songs in, I'm tasting
Oh,
cheese, and I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
yeah, it's you definitely get into and that's another thing about coming home from a tour is getting out of those habits of how you live for 35, 40 shows or whatever. It's
Yeah.
completely different than when you're at home snacking on this, snacking on that, and not having to get up and exert all that energy. The amount of sweating too was, it's been a minute since I've been on the road, but God, man, I've sweated out all of the bad things about everything I've done in the last 3 years.
Oh, dude, we do. But you get a bit like Jesus. It's like old metalheads. I hope you're enjoying this, folks. If you're a bit younger, you've got this to look forward to, and if you're our age, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, so sweat. I was never a sweaty guy. It,
Me
I,
neither.
but apparently I am now.
I think yeah, I think it's like I said, sweating out all the demons of the last few years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it was also, touring in the summer here. I mean, right now I'm in Florida. It's, 100 degrees with
Oh,
100% humidity.
yeah.
It is absolutely stifling and unbearable. Like even the tour we did, which just ended a couple of weeks ago, I was shocked at how warm it was in Canada. I thought up there at least it would be, in the 60s, maybe 70s, but no, they were well into the 80s up there. And I thought, shit, man, that is not normal because every time I've ever been to Canada, it's never been like that. But just out west in Phoenix and places like that, just I don't know what it's gonna be like in 10 years, man. But I think it's gonna come probably we'll be gone, but 50 years from now, you probably have to wear special clothing just to go outside, even for 15 minutes. I mean, it's getting to the level of, I don't know that the earth will always be fine. It's us that's not gonna be able to live on it.
Now, you've just hit a favorite, well, not a favorite topic of mine, but like a pet hate when people say like, oh, the planet's dying. No, it isn't. No,
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 promise.
human, the conditions to preserve human life are dying.
Yeah, we fucked it up, and for ourselves and our future. So that's 100% that way. And yeah, this is such a blip of time in the grand scheme of everything. It's funny, all the UFO stuff that's happening now. The unquestionable presence is finally becoming unquestionable.
Well,
It took a lot of years for it to now be unquestionable to everybody. So I like it.
yeah, why the hell not?
Yeah.
So look,
Have you
I've
seen
got
any of
to
the footage?
ask. I've got to ask. You guys were going to come over to Europe. You were some good friends of ours. Shrapnel were on the bill. It was all happening, and then unfortunately, it kind of went sideways. Tell
Yeah,
me.
you know what? I'll tell you because I think that you'll understand this, and being a fellow touring musician, you'll understand what really happened and why I couldn't really talk about it when it was happening. But I'll go ahead and tell you for the first time that what happened was 2 days before we were leaving for that tour. The reason I have new members is because of this. And I don't want to give them any, I won't say their names, but one of the guys was very like anybody that tours Europe knows that it's sometimes things come down to the last minute. We were waiting on flight. If a European flight is coming from America to Europe, you can save money if you buy tickets and in the last sort of 7 days before the thing because they don't want an empty plane going across the pond. So
Yeah,
these are all things that management handles and takes care of, and they do that on behalf of me and Atheist, and they do a fantastic job. EMG is great, and so the promoter over there was waiting to buy the tickets. So it seemed to this guy that everything was on shaky ground, and I don't I don't feel like this is we're gonna go to Hungary and we're gonna play in Poland. It's gonna be very close. There's a war going on, and I was like, what are you talking about? And so it became this.
right.
I'll try to shorten it.
No,
Essentially,
this
two of the
is
guys, two of the guys bowed out 2 days before we're leaving to go to Europe. Everything's paid for. The
two.
bus paid for. Yeah, 2 days, just absolutely criminal. And I had to take it on the chin because it was just I ended up, well, not everybody, all the bands were on the tour. Obviously had already bought their tickets, paid, talked to their wives, got time off work.
Yeah,
All these different levels of people were affected by these two decisions. And
yeah,
I tried for a full day to convince him, like, just if you don't want to be in the van after this is over, then that's fine, but you cannot cancel a tour 2 days that you agreed to do. And it was a headlining tour, so it was really, I mean, my hands were tied. I had to, and so I literally at that point got rid of everybody in the van and started putting together a brand new Atheist, and was lucky enough to be able to get Yoav back because it wasn't he was ready to go and tour. He's always ready to go, and so but the other two guys really don't realize the amount of damage that they did to a lot of people and to Atheist and to everyone that bought tickets and everything. I'm
yeah,
so sorry. I would never in a million years cancel a tour personally, and
yeah.
unless I just couldn't do it, health wise. But that's what really happened, and I'm it's the level of it was the worst thing to happen to me since Roger Patterson got died in my career.
Yeah.
I felt a tragic, like it was, I just, I could feel everybody else and all, the other bands that were on there and just all the planning and all the, it takes a lot of people to put that together.
Yeah.
unheard of bullshit, rookie
Yeah.
mistake on their part. So I put together this amazing new lineup that we just took on tour, and these are for my forever guys for sure, man. It's just a really tremendous group of guys that get along really well, that play their ass off, and I just feel really lucky to at the time it seemed like, man, how am I gonna do this? It's a lot of work, to a lot of auditioning, a lot of looking, and so management was really, really helpful in keeping me encouraged and saying, listen, this is, if you want for the long haul, you want guys that are not going to do something like this to you. And
Yeah.
I had a lot of contemporaries, even Schmear from Destruction wrote me a letter and said, hey man, like because he knew what actually happened, and he was like, yeah, next time get older guys in the band. And I said, oh man, older guys do it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Older guys may have to leave right in the middle of a tour. It's kids coming up in metal, man. Just be a little kinder about touring and where bands tour, and it is so fucking hard to go on tour, to come play for you. Like it really is. This is a labor of love. It is not a financial gain scenario. It is, hey man, you're metalheads. You want to see a room full of people like you, and we're going to play, and it's all going to be fun. I mean, it's that to do that is a great time, but it's also for the band so fucking hard. I mean, you got venues taking 15 and 20% of merchandise. Fans don't know that. Think about that. That's one band. That's a band member's share of merchandise. For doing simply nothing. They didn't pay for the merch. Like, bands don't get to collect. They don't get to collect money from the bar.
Well, do you know what? You've made a really good point there, because it winds me up as well, because they take 25% of the purchase price, not the fucking profit.
Yeah.
They take 25% of everything.
Yeah, right. And
10, 15, whatever.
And a lot of times it's all there is left at the end of paying all the bills to go on tour. I mean, a bus is a couple $1,000s a day. To ride in a van is to break your band up. I mean,
yes, exactly.
I mean, I try really hard to stay out of a van. I'd rather make much less money and ride comfortably at this point in my career.
Absolutely.
I've done my time in vans, man. But
dude, I said to the guys recently, look, we can come back. We can come back with some money and hate each other and think, why the fuck did we do that? Or we can come back with a little bit less money and some great fucking memories and have a good time.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. The quality of the tour, the quality of life on that tour. That's how I feel these days anyway. And but I always tell, the younger guys, I'm like, this isn't always this way. I mean, sometimes you really got to, our bus broke down on that tour and we had to get on a Greyhound. And just for that one day, man, it fucking sucked on a level. It was contrasting in a way that reminded me of exactly why I don't want to do a van tour. Just that one day sitting up, trying to sleep for 7 hours on a fucking Greyhound bus just to get to the gig in Cleveland. And I was like, yep, I'm right. I'd much rather make less money and enjoy ourselves. And we really did. We had a phenomenal time together. Everybody lived together. That's another thing when you're putting together a brand new lineup. Let me back up for a second and apologize to Flaming Arts and to everybody that, for that whole tour thing, since you are the first one that I've told the specific details about that. I really wanted to talk about it. And I it was just better at that time to not wallow in it. And, but, I hope that people can have some empathy and imagining, that I would never intentionally, Atheist would never intentionally do that. And all of our future tours, we have agreements in place now where that shit will never happen I will never let that happen again. And, barring tragedy, obviously. But, we look forward to coming back to Europe, and I don't want promoters to feel shaky about it. I want them to feel confident and know that this is one of the best incarnations of Atheist that there is. And we're playing, a lot of deep cuts from all the albums, and this is a good product. I mean, it's a really good live show, and so we want to come to Europe, man. And this time when we do, we'll make it up to everybody. So I just want to kind of get that out of the way, just to clear the air on that, and then move forward and say that I'm so super excited about the new lineup, and I want to come see you.
Well, absolutely, man. We want to see you over here in the UK as well.
Yeah,
and look, you were absolutely right when you say you didn't want to like mention any of what had happened at the time. And exactly, you don't do your dirty washing in public.
Yeah, the court of
It's
public opinion is not a good. The internet is
yeah,
not a good, especially feeling the way I felt at that point. I was really, really down, man. I mean, I just couldn't, and it's a lot of money. I mean, we had shipped $19,000 worth of merch out to Hungary.
yeah,
The tour manager was already in Hungary, flew there on his own dime. There was a lot of people that lost a lot of money on that scenario, and so when you agree, like all young musicians, you're going on tour, you better make sure you got it locked down. Don't do shit like that. That's
yeah,
just not something you do, especially in metal. It's just not a metal thing to do. It's a very DIY scenario with a lot of metal tours, and it's tough, and you can't do that to that many other people. 6 bands, the Flaming Arts Agency. My sincere apologies to all those bands and all their wives and all the, maybe a couple of those guys quit their job to do that tour. You know what I mean? There's so
yeah.
many different stories of members of each of those bands that I think about all the time, and it fucking kills me, man. So I like the opportunity to say that I'm sorry to all those guys, and hopefully I can, make it up to them in the future. So,
Well, mate, look, you've apologized when, frankly, it's to other people who need to apologize. Really, I'm just like you at the time, amazed, because you add up all the people involved, and you're like, guys, like, are you saying that all of these people, better?
yeah,
You know better than everybody else,
that's what I
because
was like.
everyone
Listen,
else
guys,
is going.
because we were gonna rehearse in Boston, and we were gonna play this festival. And I said, we'll just cancel that festival and spend 3 days with this new guitar player, because only one guitar player in the beginning was wanting to not go. And I was like, I know this guy, and it was Jerry Watunsky, the guy I have now. And
Right.
he's been an Atheist fan for a long time, and he's really, really good. And I was like, he just needs to learn like 6 or 7 more songs, and we'll be ready to roll. And then the other guitar player was like, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. And I was like, well, I said, we wrote a whole record and recorded elements in 40 days, like wrote it and recorded it. Like that's, I'm telling you, you got to trust me. Like, we have to do this tour. We cannot cancel this tour. And he
Yeah.
was like, no, I'm not doing it. And so that was it, man. When I had to finally tell management and everybody, like, I'm sorry, we can't do the tour. And I mean,
Right.
it was just this floodgate of anger towards me, and not from my management or anything, but from people that I couldn't explain the scenario to. Like, they're
Yeah.
thinking that, how could Kelly, how could he do that? Like, he knows
Yeah.
better. Of course I know better.
Yeah.
But what, man, I was faced with an unprecedented scenario that I couldn't fix in time. And
Do you know what though? I completely
happening.
recognize your feelings there as well, where you're not angry about what's happening. It's like it's too depressing to get
Oh,
angry.
it was literally painful. I mean, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
my poor wife, it was just, there was nothing anybody could say, really. I mean, it was just like, I can't believe this is happening. I had to stay. Luckily, she's like, yeah, stay off the internet, stay off, because,
Great advice.
she was checking it out. She's like, yeah, you don't want to be, because that shit really gets under my skin. So
Yeah.
for quite a while, I had to stay clear of comment sections. Yeah, I felt like a death. It was like a mourning, like and then
Yeah.
also at the same time, this, and how am I gonna? I can't believe I worked so hard on that lineup. And they had worked hard, and it was a good lineup. So musically, that was a fantastic band. So I can't take anything away from them on that level. So I always, but on a business level, that was complete bullshit. And
Yeah.
so pulling in new guys, and now there's a different criteria. Now it's like you have to be really good, and we have to be able to get along on a bus, and you can't be full of shit. And you got to, if you tell me you're going to go on tour that you really want to do this, then we really got to do it. And if you agree to do it, please understand the magnitude of stuff that's happening behind the scenes that you don't know anything about. Because
But
that was one of the
the
things.
thing is, the people like this would never pull out of like a holiday with friends at 2 days' notice. They
Certainly
wouldn't
not
put.
without being an equal asshole that they were on this. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's exactly what it would be like. Even more so, it would be like if
Yeah.
those people, your family, spent 10,000 or 20 or $30,000 on a huge party, and you didn't show up at Christmas. Like, it's like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible, man. And yeah, I mean, it's still fucking just, it burns my ass, man, because it hasn't been that long. You know, it was only just a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
So, but man, when I, you know, slowly as the pieces started falling in place, and I got Alex Haddad and Jerry Witonsky and Dylan
Yeah.
Marks, and then you know, we were searching around for a bass player, and I didn't know, you know, how Yoav felt, whether he was, you know, he was really caught in the crossfire of everything that happened, and he was such a phenomenal bass player and performer, and a great band member. And I really wanted him to be back in the band, and it wasn't his fault that, you know, that he was out. I just, at the time, I just fired everybody. I was just like, that's it. I don't want to be in a band full of guys that would do something like this, you know. And it wasn't him that did it. So
Yeah.
anyway, I was very fortunate. We as a band were very fortunate at that point to get Yoav back. And once we got him back, and then we went to San Diego and rehearsed, man, what a fucking killer lineup. I mean, they're really, really playing the shit out of it. So it's fun. It's fun again. And I
That
feel like
first
they put all that
rehearsal,
behind me now.
that first rehearsal with that new lineup, man, I bet you had a fucking smile so big.
I mean, exactly. You do know what it's like, you know, and it's, man, I was just, yeah, so proud because they did their fucking homework. You know what I mean? They paid attention to all the little details, and, you know, past lineups of Atheists, like they're in the early reformation in 2006. And you know, some of that was really loose, and you know, and it wasn't being, what the level of quality control wasn't necessarily there. Like you know, we were just happy to be playing, and you know, weren't really insisting upon the leads being played the same way, and in the performance be on a level that, you know, that it needed to be. So you know, I don't want to say I'm not proud of that era, but I'm just saying that era and this new era are two totally different beasts. And you know, playing songs from Elements that you know, the song called Fire, for instance, is it turned out to be one of the greatest moments in the set, and it's just been sitting in hibernation for 30 years on a record with subpar production. You know, you know what I mean? Like, people have been listening to that version for 30 plus years, and well, 30 years this year, and to hear it on stage with a 21st century PA system in front of 600 to 800 people, holy fuck! You know, that
Yeah.
song just came to life. And so now I'm like, wow, you know, and these guys are just so good that I can be like, hey, let's try this song, and then bloop, they'll tab it out and learn it. And I love the new musicians, man. They're so, man, I just, it
Yeah,
is a talent.
there's something about hearing your old material played through new gear as well, through modern
Yeah,
amps,
100%.
and it's like, whoa, there's the fuck, I can
Yeah,
actually hear
all the
everything.
articulation, all the picking, the gates. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I remember back playing, you know, live, and all the feedback in between. You know, there's so many breaks
Yeah.
in atheist music. So if you don't get the right, if you get the wrong venue, or the wrong setup with your amp, you know, and you got all this squealing happening in between the breaks, well, that just takes all the fun right out of Atheist. You know, so these days,
Yeah.
you know, everybody's got their gates, and everything is just nice and tight, and all the picking is really, you know, pronounced,
Yeah.
and the drums, you know what I mean? Let's be honest. I mean, I'm an old school lover of non-triggered drums, but I'm
Yeah.
also a fan of the level of, especially if your drummer is doing a lot of interesting shit. A lot of that gets lost in a live setting, you know, because, you know, a drum has to, you know, when you hit it, it has to, you know, have a little bit of time to sort of air out. And there's no time when you're moving at 220 beats per minute or whatever. So the idea of having the triggers really hones it all in. It's almost like HD, you know, for the drums. Like, you can really hear all the shit now. And I kind of like that now. I've grown to, you know, I was a little wrinkled nose about it in the beginning, but now there's just no way really, you know, as long as you know your drummer's actually good and without triggers, that he could still play his ass off. And I always felt Steve Flynn clearly was always that way, and I feel the same way about Dylan. Dylan actually does a really good job of blending the triggers and the real drums, to give it a little, you know, a little more of a real feel than sort of a lot of the modern, you know, deathcore. You know, you see a lot of those guys, and they don't even
Yeah.
have amps on stage, and everything is through an in-ear, and that's a world I'm not quite ready for. I'm still into big cabinets and flying V's and
Yeah.
fucking, you know,
And
11.
shitty wedge monitors.
Yes, I need a place
Yeah.
to put my foot, and hear some really shitty sound, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'd feel like such a fake if I had in-ears and I had my foot on the monitor. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, is this
I didn't even
allowed?
think about I didn't even think about that. I've been thinking about, like, man, you know, am I just being a stubborn old bastard to not get in ears? But I don't know, man. Like, when I see people doing this all the time, constantly fucking with their ear, I was like, I don't know. what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
but it's a world I don't understand. So I just I'm just making jokes, but everybody's like tells me though that even Jeff from Possessed wrote me a letter and he said it was a game changer for him to
Yeah,
have in ears.
I'm
So
hearing
maybe
I hear that all the time, but I want to hear what everyone else hears. End of story.
me too. And if they could find a way to work that out, to where there's some ambience allowed to, I'm sure they probably will in the future. There'll be a combination setting, so to speak,
Yeah.
to allow some sound to get in through the back of the in ear, and then still get the precision of hearing the crisp, track and being able to adjust yourself. But I would imagine vocally, I mean, I don't know. There's nothing like I don't like technical. That's why I don't play guitar on stage anymore as well. Aside from my hand, I could get the operation and probably feel better and be able to play live, but I don't want to. It's just a pain in the ass. Strings and tuning and amps and
Oh
lugging
yeah.
it in. Like fuck that. I'd rather just
Dude, we don't even sound check.
no, the band sound checks.
No,
I
yeah,
just
but we don't.
oh,
Me and you.
oh, you don't? Oh,
No, I don't either. Fuck that. Well, I'm not going to do a load of warm-ups, sing like 1.5 songs,
right.
and then do warm downs. And also, it's going to sound totally different. There's nobody in the fucking building.
Yeah.
Why are we even bothering?
I do like the musical sound check. I do like the band checking because it really does make a big difference, especially if there's a lot of back and forth solos and stuff like that. You want to make sure that that whoever, like, we had a sound guy who did a great job for us on the last tour and also on all the tours that we've done. So we didn't have that back in the day, so you had to trust the house guy, and so you always wanted to get a sound check. But yeah, once you're your road guy, your guy that you trust, your sound guy, that he knows exactly where it needs to be, so we don't need to do that.
Yeah.
We
And
haven't gotten to that
absolutely,
stage
it's like I'm sorry, guys. You're not gonna have time to sound check tonight. Oh, bummer.
yet. Yeah,
Never
it
mind,
really
we'll
is.
survive somehow. And you go on and whoa, it sounds it sounds great, sounds fine.
That's why I don't like headlining either, because it's like, as soon as you get to the venue, you gotta, offload all your gear and you got to take it right in and set up. Like, I like to just get to the venue, find the bathroom, find a place to eat, and like have a couple of hours to chill, but you have to like go right in and sound check. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just it's funny to hear us talk about. We're like two grumpy old men talking about the things we don't like.
Yeah. It's
Some
like
22-year-old kid I'm sitting watching going, fuck, I wish I could just go on tour. I wouldn't care what position I played at or whether I soundtrack for 3 hours. I get it, but
good shout.
when me and you were like, rah, rah, off my
Yeah.
lawn.
Oh, I'm so over it. I'm so over life.
I used to think about, when I was younger, when I would talk to more famous musicians and I would be like, do you remember, I would say things like, to me, I always thought, I can't believe that I would remember every single gig I played. I would, how could they not know what they were in Fort Wayne, Indiana? Like, I would know that. I would remember that. I literally am at that stage of my career now where I'm like, God, man, you learn so much of how silly you were when you were young as you get older, which is kind of fun, because you can pick on yourself about
Yes.
how you thought things were, and you can look back on the people that tolerated you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that makes me want to be closer to them and reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? I love you. Thank you for going
Yeah.
through that with me and allowing me to be silly and stupid when I thought I knew what I was talking about, but I definitely didn't.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And it's the same when you meet people who met you 20, and they're like, oh yeah, we met 20, 30 years ago when you were on the road. And you're like, oh, right. Did we? Did we? And they're like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough ask to ask me to remember all that. Now, I do have a pretty good memory for faces. For the life of me, man, people's names will always escape me, but
yeah,
I can see somebody, and also Facebook helps that out a lot. Because you become like sort of Facebook famous in a way, and you recognize someone's face. So sometimes I'll pull up on the bus, I'll look out and see a person standing in line that I've seen on Facebook for
yeah,
for 3 years. You know what I mean? I recognize them right away, and so that's kind of fun. That's an interesting social thing as well that
yeah.
people don't think about, artists recognizing them, but yeah, I mean, 30, we experience that a lot. I'm sure you as well. I mean, how long have she been doing it since the same amount of time, right? 30 years.
Oh God, yeah. Well, we put an album out in 2019, and the previous album was 29 years before that. So yeah,
Holy shit.
our first album was '88.
Oh, that's a huge gap. That's
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was
amazing.
88. It was 88. Well, it was like 88 was a mini album, 89 was an album, 90 was an album, and then 2019 was an album.
Very similar path, my friend. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
like we were 90, 91, 93 and gone for fucking till 2010.
Oh yeah, so Jupiter,
Now,
man.
I mean, I can't
Jupiter
believe.
doesn't get the love it deserves, dude. Doesn't.
Oh, so that's nice to hear, man. Because I really, you know how it is with records. They're like your children, you know what I mean? And I'm super proud of that kid. You know, what I mean
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. It's not
a
his
good
fault he was born a little bit too late, you know?
yeah. And I hope people will go, sit down and have a conversation with Jupiter sometime and understand that Jupiter's a very nice person and has a lot of really great ideas. And I actually hadn't listened to it in probably 3 years until recently. On Spotify I threw it on one day and I was like, God damn, there's all kinds of shit flying around all over the place on this thing. I really had a different perspective about some of the songs I completely forgot about, like Third Person, and there's a couple songs that that we never played live, and I just kind of forgot about. And I thought, where am I at in my career that I forgot about a child, so to speak? You know what I mean? Like every song
Yeah,
is
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, and
Absolutely.
but that as an album is really disappointing that people fall into that sentiment that it's their new shit, so it's not as but I got to say, though, that in the last couple of years, I got a lot of mail from people saying, I just revisited Jupiter, man. It's a fucking really good album. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
We worked really hard on it. The drumming alone on there is like, fuck. I mean, Steve Flynn didn't play drums for 14 years and came back and did that. And that's
Yeah. I will, as an Atheist fan, as a fan of your early stuff, because it was weird for me as well, because we just kind of quit when you came out, and it was cool because it was like I kind of felt like thrash metal had burned me and I didn't want to hear thrash. And Atheist was like, oh right, this is my stuff, this is everything.
Did you take to it right away, or did it take you a minute?
No, straight away. Straight away.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, I mean, well, for a start, we were label mates, so I was still with the label. So I got all your shit when I went to see the record company, and then I just loved it straight away. And I can tell you now, as an Atheist fan, 2010, 40 years old, and you brought Jupiter out, and I was over the fucking moon with it. I was just like, this is fucking brilliant, honestly, and I still play it as well.
I think because the bass isn't as dominant as it was on other records, that was one of the main. And because social media played a role in how people, like, before that, all of our records were just these, they were brought up in a different time, so to speak. I mean, now
Yeah,
2010, we're talking about the internet where somebody can listen. Like, I talk about this all the time. It's a huge pet peeve. People that review records for magazines or for digital magazines, they end up having to review, a dozen records in a couple of weeks. They're not spending any time with those records. They want to get that's a lot of work to write
yeah,
that many reviews. I know. I tried reviewing one time and I was like, I don't like this, like, book reports for every band, and I may feel differently in a couple of days about it. And that is how I think Atheist is with Jupiter. I feel like the reviews that came out on that record, people that heard it 2 weeks before anybody else did, really kind of soured everybody's, like, oh, I don't want to hear their new shit. I'm gonna just listen to Piece of Time, or I'm just gonna listen to
yeah,
Unquestionable. That's my favorite record, and I don't really care that they did a new record, because I read that this and that, and I read that that Kelly sounds like the guy from Mudvayne, and I said, I read that that they just, I mean, people just say shit that is like nuts, man, and like, we were like, one of the funniest things that young, like, the difference between a writer and a blogger, or I don't even know what they're called, is monumentally different. I mean,
yeah,
a writer will do his homework and know the pecking order of how things happen, but a 22-year-old kid with a fanzine online, that isn't going to necessarily know. Maybe he doesn't care either, but you have a responsibility to, if I'm sending you a free record, and because bands have to pay for all those records to go out, that. And then I don't know that I want anybody to hear the record 2 weeks before everybody else does anymore. I think if we make another record, I think everybody can hear all of it at the same time. Like, when we put out a single, everybody, I'm not going to send it to I don't know if I want to do that anymore, man. I mean, I
yeah.
think that because then people, they write, and then everybody goes, yeah, I read this. I read that it wasn't as good as Unquestionable. And I read that the drums weren't as, I did you have to spend time with it. And I think now people have spent enough time with Jupiter to go, okay, all right, there was a lot of shit going on there that I didn't hear. And then, and I'm definitely proud of it. So I hope people will go back and listen to it.
Hey, man, absolutely. And dude, I want to thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time, man. I've really been so generous with your time. Really appreciate it, Kelly. Thank you very much.
The chat with you is always great. I love interviews like this, because it's not really an interview. It's just it's a conversation between people that have similar love for this metal music, and plus, the history of it as well. I love to talk with somebody that's sort of been there and gone through it. So always a pleasure, my friend.
Cool, man. Thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Thanks for the Fill the Dirt love as well. Appreciate it.
No need to thank me, Kelly, me old mucker. My absolute pleasure. In my humble opinion, that Till the Dirt album is, well, I think it's a future classic. I absolutely love it, as you've heard. So, yeah, great fun. Really enjoyed doing that. Cheesy, I know, but I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I did doing it. But genuinely had an absolute blast. He's a really lovely guy, Kelly. I'm really looking forward to meeting up with him in the flesh one day, which would be great. As I have done over the years with so many guests. It's incredible, really, over the 9 years. Wow, God, I can't believe it's been that long. Well, this is the 10th year, actually, so, check it out. Anywho, rambling a bit, tendency to do that. Thank you very much for listening. Please review the podcast anywhere you can. All the other bullshit that all other podcasts ask you to do. As much as it pains me to do it, because I hate doing things that other people do, I feel like a fake, but everyone's doing this for a reason, and that is, we need reviews, we need shares, we need subscribes, we need downloads, need money, actually. Patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. There's loads of stuff. There's a radio show, there's a Zoom podcast once a month where we all get together on Zoom. Honestly, it's a right laugh. Come join us. Anywho, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. At you, as always, and I will be back in a couple of weeks with another cracking interview with another legend who has just brought out another cracking album. Oh, this year is going very well.